So it's finally here, the Dualsense Edge, but are there really any alternatives than paying over £200 for a controller from Sony? Well, yes, there is alternatives, and I'm going to show you in my little video here and what I did to get 4 back buttons on a Dualsense controller. So don't spend 200 quid on a Dualsense controller. This can be done for less than £40. Okay, so just watch my video and I'll show you and I explain to you, and I also do a review of this product as well. Alright, you beautiful peoples of the interwebs, Glyn here, Cheapskate Gaming News, Tech Reviews, and I've decided I want to upgrade. I want an upgrade from the PS5 DualSense controller. I want back buttons. Now, being cheapskate, if you think I'm paying 200 quid, literally 200 quid for the dual, what are they going to call? What are they calling that new DualSense? Oh, I don't know. There's a new DualSense coming out, and essentially it's got removable, what they call them, thumbsticks, and it's got back buttons, and it looks all very, very good and all that. But the new thumbsticks aren't even Hall effect that they're putting on, and neither are the triggers. So for 200 quid, I expect a lot better, Sony. Crap idea. You should have just done what you did with the PS4 and put a back button. It's 2 years too late. That's another thing. Anyway, let's stop raging about how crap that new DualSense Edge. That's it. Is it DualSense Edge it's called? Yeah, well, the only thing on the edge at the minute is Sony's marketing team, and I think they should jump off into the crevice. Anyway, so I'm a little bit peed off because it's in here what I'm going to do, and essentially it's a back button riser kit, and this is how Amazon packaged it. They didn't even put it in a package. It could have been opened by anyone in the post. So I'm a little bit disappointed by the way Amazon sent this out to me. People from Extreme Rate, who the company that makes this, can you ask Amazon just to put it in a bag, please? Because when I open this up, some of the to be fair, they send you a podger and a little screwdriver with it. But the screwdriver had pierced the bag that they put all the screws in, and the screws are all just rattling around in the box. So I'm not sure I've got every screw and piece I need to actually make the riser remap kit. Now, I've never done it. I've never even opened my DualSense. I have opened a DS4, a DualShock 4 before, just to replace the triggers used to go a bit funny in them, didn't they? The rubber used to damage on them, and I've done that a couple of times. So it's going to be my first time opening up a DualSense 4. Is it DualSense 4? Oh, the DualSense, I mean. And we're going to see how easy am I going to get it working. Fortunately, I have a second controller, because if shit goes wrong when I'm doing this, I'm going to need that second controller. But anyway, I think I'll film it. I don't think I'm going to put you through the pain and agony of me watching do it. Now, I could do the soldering. I do have a soldering iron, but to be honest, the L3R3 buttons aren't really ones that I use or need, because you can use, the whole point about a back button is that it stops you taking a finger off the thumbstick when you press, say you need to press A or B or X or Y or whatever, triangle and square, or it just stops you having to take your finger off the thumbstick to press a button, whereas the L3R buttons are on the thumbstick. So there's very little point in having them to begin with, because they're where you need them. So they're not buttons that you really need to change. So yeah, so I'm going to shut up. We're going to get on with it. I'm going to do it. I'll time it, because apparently some people say, I've seen some people that do it like about 20 minutes if you know what you're doing. I've seen some people saying, oh, it took me over 4 hours. So hopefully I won't be that long. I'm guessing it's going to take me about an hour, considering I've never done it before. And my best bet is just follow one of the, to be fair to the Extreme Rate, they've got some really good videos out there that guys have made. Probably been paid to do it, to make some videos, and they're very good videos off of them, showing you what bits go where. Just out of interest, this is so you need to know which controller you have. There is on Amazon website, they basically just say you look at underneath these, and there's different shapes, and then if there's a screw, it's a different one. No, it's not a screw. It was, if it was a little metal hinge thing, it's a different one. Anyway, this is an 010 according to the what's underneath here. I think it's in there somewhere. You won't be able to see it, it's too dark. But this is an 010. My other controller is an 020. This Rise kit works for 101, 010 and 020. So anyway, that's enough of me blabbering on. I'm going to open up the kit and we're going to go over to the little workbench over there. I'll film it all, but I'm probably not going to sit you all the way through it. I'll probably just do it fast forward and maybe have a few talking points while I'm doing it. And let's just hope everything is in this box, otherwise I'll be having a very nasty letter to Amazon. And also I need to take some photos of how it arrived, just in case it's not in there. Oh, classic. Just what I need. Anyway, let's get on with it. Okay. Right, so we're over here on the table. Here's the box. Open the box up. This isn't an instruction, it's some sort of gamer manual. Thank you for buying, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully there is an instruction manual, otherwise it's just a case of you looking in YouTube. If you need help, it says here, got a question, we've got you covered. We have made a frequently asked questions list of all the products and we'll continue to update them. Please go to extremerate.com/frequently FAQ, frequently asked questions, and search for your answers. Okay, that's fair enough. Fair play. And also I like, this is in English. Look, no other languages in there, just in English. So fortunately they've got someone putting the correct manuals in the right boxes depending on what country they're being sent to. And I do like that. That shows that extra little level there. So of course this is the back one. I went with the white one with the extra grippy bits. So we want to see what they're like. I'm going to put them to the side. And the reason I'm going to film this is because I want to show you how this arrived from Amazon. So that's the actual back button bits there. Now these will be the actual parts that go inside your controller, the ribbon cables. That's the word I'm looking for. This is the gubbins of the back button, essentially. So it allows it to do its magic stuff. Now, as you can see, this is how mine arrived. And you can see that the screwdriver poked a hole in the case. Let me just zoom right in on that. And of course now I've got, I don't know if you can see that, but there are parts just rattling around the box. So I need to put these safe because especially one of them is a very important part. Well, they're all important parts, and they're very difficult to get out. So right, I've got that out. Where the hell did the other bit go? There. Okay. So I don't know if you quite see that. I'll put them on my hand. But these two parts were rattling around inside the box. So I need to put these somewhere safe. I really need a little cap, don't I? Anyway, I'm going to get on now with actually putting this together. So I'll keep filming, but I'm not going to put you through the agony of me learning to do this. So we'll see on the other side. We'll see how long it took. I'm on my time. I'm starting this out at 4:10. I'm going to call it 4:15. I'm going to find something for this. So 4:15. And of course at the end then I'll see how well it feels. And then also it'll be another day or two because I want to test it. I always test my stuff properly. I always give them a good run for their money before I do a review. Okay, and of course this is all in one. It's the purchase it, and of course I purchased this myself. Cost me, I believe it's £41, £40.99 for this particular one. I think it's £38.99 if you don't want the grippy bits at the back. And then they do a £50 one, which I'm considering. If I really like this, I am going to get the £50 one, which is metal. If it's any better or not, I don't know, but it'll be the red one then. And I'll just get the red and black, well, the black and red grippy one. But this has got to impress me first. And essentially that would be 2 Rise kits, a little bit of time for £90 compared to one Dualsense Edge that's over £200 in the UK. That's the deal, isn't it? Anyway, let's just see if this is going to be... And of course, I don't think I mentioned, this has got 4 back buttons. I normally only ever really use 2. I did buy the... what was it called? The Big One Armor X kit. That's got 4 back buttons. For Apex, I started to learn to use 3 of them. I always use 2, and I started using the extra one for jumping on ropes and stuff. So maybe I might program that in and try this out on Apex as well. God, I'm doing a lot of yabbering today. I'm really sorry, but you know, that's the way it is. My videos are long and yabbery, and I know I'm not the most magnetic personality, so there's not much I can do about that. But brain transplants don't exist yet. Hopefully Elon Musk will come up with a microchip, put it in my head, and I can become like a really good presenting person. Until those days, you just have to put up with this. Okay, right. Anyway, let's get on with making stuff. All right, so we're back. My camera, the way my camera works, it's got to put a battery in it while I'm recording. So I didn't actually get all the recording of me building the controller. Now that was a few days ago, so I've actually been and tested, and it was all working first time round. I got it all working. And to be fair, I used all the tools that came with it. So it basically came with like that. You saw that little podger for opening, worked well. The only really bit you need to use the podger for is just splitting open the sides here on the controller. They can be a little bit tricky, but just stick at them. They will come loose a little after a while. In fact, this black bit here, I didn't use the podger for that. I ended up using my nails. You can just get your nail in there. And the other thing was the screwdriver that come with it. Now, it was great, to be fair, to the screwdriver that come with it. I used it, well, it wasn't great, but it was usable until the last final stages, which was when the camera went off, unfortunately. And that was, in this bit, there's 2 screws you've got to put inside of this. And they have to be in as tight as you can, because they essentially make what's clicky on these buttons. Now you're not going to hear the click on these buttons because I've got the microphone noise suppression on, but I had to use a cheap, not expensive, not, I'm not the type of guy that goes out and spends more money than I need on something like an iFixit kit, but I've got this little Rollison screwdriver. But all I had to do was use that just to tighten these two in here. Otherwise, apart from that, I used every screw, the screwdriver on every other screw that I needed to use. I did have to use a pair of pliers. You'd see that in it. I had a little pair of like eyebrow tweezers. You know, if you got a mum or a girlfriend or whatever, just nick their tweezers. Maybe you've got your own tweezers. Ideally, you'd want plastic ones. Mine were metal, so I was just very careful about. It was more to do with pulling the things out or just getting them in to start them and putting them in, because I haven't got little hands. I've got, I'm 6'2" and I got quite big hands, and I'm getting older, so little fiddly things like that are getting a little bit tricky. But I took my time. I got on with it. Difficulty wise, out of 10, 10 being impossible, 1 being you could trip over and do it. It was probably, what would you say? It was a half, 5 out of 10 difficulty. You just need to have a little bit of confidence. It was a little bit fiddly, maybe 6 out of 10 for a little bit of fiddliness. I didn't do the soldering, as you saw. Like I said, I explained why I didn't do soldering, because why do you need to press the R3 buttons in when they're on the joysticks themselves? So essentially, I have this map now for AB. Well, I call it AB. I mean X, square, circle, and triangle. So used to using the old Xbox description of the buttons, but yeah, X, square, circle, and triangle. So that's what I've got them all set up to in here. But of course, you could set them up to maybe you want to use the trigger buttons. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you know. Anyway, right. So like I say, I always test my stuff properly. So I was quite glad to see it worked straight from the box. No messing after I put it all back together. I did have to pull it apart at one point. What did I say? Oh yeah, that's right. I was putting it, and again I missed that on the camera when I was putting this in. This little button in the middle, which is very important, because let me just show you quickly. This little button, because it's all a bit fiddly and it fell out, and I was like, put it together. I was like, oh, but I got the podger tool, podgered it back off, put it back in, job done. That was really the only sort of real error or mistake I made while I was going through it. And if I was to do it again, which I think I will, I was on and on about ordering the metal one for the red controller I've got. I think that would be quite nice, just to see what the difference is between the plastic and red. But yes, so it's built, it's working. So let's go over, let's go to the reviewy part of this then. So what do I like about it? Well, but it works. That's good. The other thing is you can map on the fly. So it's quite easy. You hold this button down here. Let me just show you anyway, isn't it? Oh, I haven't got it on. Your controller's got to be on. I'm not going to turn it on now. But essentially, there's plenty of other videos. You hold this button down for about 3 to 4 seconds. Could be 5 seconds. It's quite a long press. This red light then will start to flash. No, it goes red, goes on red, steady on red, and then you hold the button you want, like, say you want to map this to the X button, you hold them both together and it will flash and stop flashing, and then that's mapped, and you can carry on mapping all the buttons, and then when you finish, hold that again, goes off, and you've mapped all the buttons. It's quite easy, basically. It's easy to map on the fly, and I like that. You don't need this magic app to go into the app to then select the buttons you want before you play the game on your PC and then go on and play the game on it. No, none of that fucking rubbish and nonsense like the 8-bit dough does. None of that nonsense. Although the 8-bit dough doesn't work on PS5, so I don't know why I'm going on about that, but I digress. Yeah, so you don't need to use an app. You could basically think. The other thing is, There's no, now I can say this is a positive, some people say a negative. There's no cheats or macros involved with this, and I think that's a good thing, really, because you could then take this controller and use it in a tournament scenario. It's no different to if you've got the new Dualsense when that comes out. If it's out, if you're watching this video in a few months' time, that's out now. Costs 200 quid. So essentially, this is the budget-friendly option, or the cheapskate option. Like I say, just between, it's anywhere between £38 on Amazon, £38 sterling, British money, to 50 quid if you want the metal one. So, and then it's obviously up to you then to put it together. The other good thing is the back thing. It fits quite well, very well actually. There's a couple of little, I'm talking, I don't even know if it'll zoom in on it, but no, it won't even zoom in on it. That's how. But there's a very slight, I can't really moan. I mean, the tolerances are within less than a bit of a millimeter, but there's a slight difference in the, I think it's even got better over time, actually. Yeah. So the back, because obviously this whole back of the pad comes with the kit, and the rubber grips are really nice. I was a bit worried that maybe over time these rubbers would start to pour off or unpeel, but they seem really well done and really well put onto the pad. So I'm really pleased with that. And colour match, let me just hold it against some real light. To be honest, I can't, obviously the camera isn't in HDR, but I can't see any difference in colour between the top and bottom. My eyes can't discern a colour change, so they've actually matched the colour perfectly. That's actually quite a hard thing to do, to perfectly colour match something. So the only thing I think they must have done is, I don't know if any of you realise this, but colours are trademarked, certain colours, and there's a certain company that big companies have to pay thousands of pounds a year to have that exact colour marked and matched. And maybe Rise has paid the company to match the colour to the Sony, because it's perfectly matched. Phenomenally well matched, actually. Well done them. To the point where I think maybe Rise should be officially endorsed. They're just that good. Now, let's get to, because I could go on about positives about being able to, like I was using this, I went off on a tangent then. Take a break, take a breather, we'll cut that, and we'll start. So let's talk about some of the positives. Let's talk about my time with the controller then. So I've spent the last 3 or 4 days. It's been quite a while since I built it, because I always test my stuff properly. You get plenty of reviewers that do this thing where they'll have a product, they'll try it out for 2 minutes, and they'll say, oh yes, it works perfectly, oh, must buy, go get it, blah, blah, blah. And then you go and get it, and then a couple of days later you realise, oh, well, it doesn't do this well, or this is a bit, they didn't describe this, or they missed this in the review. I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person that likes to try my product out properly. Anyway, so I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2 at the minute. I'm just trying to catch up before the next load of content comes out on Destiny 2. And we basically went and done dungeons, 3 of us, so you need really good precise jumping, and this was fantastic because what this allowed me to do in a game like both like Apex or Destiny or any of those is you can jump and you can look at where you're landing, which is very important when you're doing tricky jump puzzles and that in games. So I was like looking in first person, jumping, looking down at my landing spot, landing, jumping again, blah blah blah. Perfect. Now I've over quite a nice click on these, especially these ones. The ones inside ones are really nice and clicky. I will say that these internal ones are a little bit soft on the press. They could be, if they felt like these two, if they felt a bit more like them, it would be a lot better. I don't know how they would do that, but maybe they need to increase the push on that. People do say that they press by accident quite a lot. Now, I can't say I was pressing them by accident like a huge amount or anything, but the weight of the controller is enough to set them off. So what I mean by that is just resting my controller on my fingers sets them off. And I think really what you want is the weight of controller not to set, just to be on that sort of teetering edge of pressure where the weight of the controller doesn't actually set the buttons off themselves. The ones underneath are very close to that. Very close to that. They're just underneath the that edge, just underneath that sort of limit, where they do press when I weigh the controller on my fingers. But the ones on the outside, they go way too early. So they need to be a little bit more pressure on these outside ones. Now, some people say you can put like a little bit of squidgy foam underneath the gaps here. I'm not going to do that simply because it's going to make it a bit mushy, I think. You want to feel, you can feel the click while you press them. And that's good. So overall, I used the video. It took me, that's right, I timed it, and I was going on about timing it. So I timed it, it was an hour and a half before I finished, but it didn't take me an hour and a half to actually do. I went and had a coffee, had a couple of little breathers, had to set up a little bit of things for filming, but the biggest part was I was stopping, then referencing the YouTube video and watching it. I'm sometimes watching it twice just in case I didn't understand a little bit of it. I was like, let's make, because you want to make sure you get it right. I was pretty confident in what I knew I was doing, but I just wanted to make sure that, when you put in your ribbon cables in, that they're going in the right way and not the wrong way. You want to get that right the first time, not the second time. Then I had that one bit where I had to reopen the back and put this bit in, and also find another screwdriver, screwing down the screws. So all that took up a little bit more time. And of course, watching the video, you don't always tend to watch the first part. You end up having to scroll to find the bit you want. So that took up most of my time, to be honest, is watching the YouTube and then actually doing it. So doing it, I think if I was to redo this again or to do another one straight after, I could bang it out in about 40 minutes easy. No problems at all. Opening the controller is not too bad. Putting it back together, easy enough. Knowing where all the cables go. It's just those little things. There's nothing it's a little bit fidgety and fiddly, but I think once you know where you're going, what you're doing, you could do, like say you bought 2 Rise kits and you had to do one controller and then do a second one. You'd take just over an hour to do the first one. If you had a little iPad or your phone in front of you, just watching the video, pausing it, doing the bit, pausing it, watching a bit, doing a bit, pausing it, etc. Once you've done one, you pretty much know what you're doing. You can do that second controller in about half an hour to 40 minutes, no problem at all. So time wise, there's not much time wasted then. The guy that took 4 hours to do it, I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he's just a little bit slow, but you just need a little bit of confidence when you open it. That's all. Follow a guide. There's some really good videos on there. Don't follow my one because I haven't just done it as a guide. I might do if I buy the second kit, I might do my own guide. There was a couple of bits in the guide video that I thought, that could have been, like 90% of it is explained beautifully, but there was 1 or 2 bits where I thought, that could have been explained a little bit better. So overall, would I recommend the product? Definitely. I would say, especially with the new information that the battery life doesn't last as long on the new Dualsense Edge controller. Now, I did find that I think this particular mod is using up a little bit more battery on my controller as well. But this would be my advice this is what I'll do with my next controller, and this would be great advice for you as well. If you are thinking of buying one of these, and if you've only got one controller, right, so my advice would be, if you go onto Amazon, if I just bring this up here, you can see that they sell in Britain, it's a battery for 20 quid. Now, I looked at reviews of this. Let me just get rid of this now. But there it is on battery. Just search PS5 battery and see, and just go for this one, this PA Paxo, is it? PAXO Paxo battery, 2600 milliamp. Essentially, reading the reviews, I haven't bought it yet, but if I do get the red one, I'm going to do this, put this in my controller. And essentially, it says on there 66% more battery, but people are reporting their controllers are lasting twice as long. So you're literally going to get more than 12 to 14 hours out of a controller, easy peasy. So long, more than the longest gaming session, you're going to get more than 14 hours, probably around 16 to 20. So you'll put it on par with like an Xbox controller then, where they can get up to 20 hours out of them. But what I have done with this one for now is I haven't turned them off. I've turned down the rumble a little bit, and I've turned down the trigger pressing a little bit. And that has worked. It's given me that extra hour that I needed, because I was finding that I think it was 6 hours I was getting on the battery. Now this is an old controller. This is actually a day one controller. I haven't got drift on the sticks. I'm not that heavy handed when I'm using them. So just put that into account. But if I was to do this again, I'm going to definitely purchase this battery here. And as you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen too well. Let me just zoom it up. But you can see some of the things there. 2600 milliamps, 66% more power, and also it looks quite nice with the blue and white. It almost looks like it follows the PlayStation sort of colouring. But yeah, the reviews for this are fantastic. So I just thought I'd like to point that out for you. But that is an option. Obviously, then you're going up in money. So you're paying 40 quid for the Rise map, 20 quid for a battery, or 60 quid. But you're going to get a controller that lasts over 12 hours, that has all the functionality that you need. But it'll have the same functionality as a Dualsense Edge. So that's definitely worth a consideration. Anyway, so that's an 8 out of 10 for the Dualsense Edge. Solid 8 out of 10. Very, very good. I haven't really got much more to say other than it's one of the only options for the PS5. It's the best option at the minute for back buttons for your PS5, and it's also the best budget option, or the cheapest option. So, as Cheapskate Gaming News Tech Reviews, fundamentally, I will condone and support Extreme Rate. And hopefully they will bring out newer iterations of this and improve the clickiness maybe of the buttons, and then eventually we'll start getting things like 9 and 9.5 out of 10s. But as an option, it's very much a viable one, and definitely worth the money you're spending. Anyway, this has been Glyn on Cheapskate Gaming News Tech Reviews. This has been the Extreme Rate Rise Map 4 kit, or Rise 4 map kit for the DualSense controller. Fantastic bit of kit. And hopefully, if you're watching this video, I've been some sort of help. Maybe I've just annoyed you. Maybe I'm just here for your own pleasure. I don't know. Anyway, Glyn out. See you next one. Bye-bye now.